Hey everybody, how's it going? You may or may not have heard this, but Foul Territory, a podcast that I'm involved with, is on Bally's TV now. So it's on sports networks all over the country under the Bally's banner. And today, Foul Territory invited me on to talk about the state of the Yankees. Unfortunately, it's because they're in a rut, but they gave me permission to post this interview, and so here it is. Enjoy my first TV appearance where I talk about the Yankees.
We're only two players that were north of 700 so far this season on the Yanks. Is that the biggest problem right now with the team in your mind?
It's definitely one of the problems, but the team has a lot of problems right now. I want to agree with Todd Father, who said before the show when we were talking in our production meeting that it's a midsummer funk and they'll get out of it. But, like he said in the previous segment, we're just not seeing the energy right now. Problem is, we saw nearly this exact scenario play out in 2022, where the team got off to an incredible start, mostly driven by insanely good starting pitching. It was Tyone one night, it was Kluber the next night, Garrett Cole the next night. This year we had a historic stretch from Carlos Rodon. Luis Gil was sensational. Marcus Stroman's been great. He could still be an all-star, had a tough day yesterday. Clark Schmidt was great. He got hurt. Nestor Cortez was great. He's having a nice bounce-back year. But the minute that they kind of let their foot off the gas, as Kratz said when Garrett Cole came back, it's gone downhill. And the offense was near the top of the league in runs for a couple of months. The bullpen was hot for a little while. They've gotten cold. They've had some injuries. They lost some guys that they were counting on. I do think that there could be something to, all right, we just need a break. We need an all-star break, 4 or 5 days off to rest and then come back refreshed, because they look like they were really pushing to make up for Garrett Cole being out. They were playing really, really well. But over their last 17 games, the starting pitching has an ERA of 7.76, dead last in the major leagues. They're allowing 2.5 home runs per game, also dead last. The offense hasn't been able to cover it up. Anthony Volpe's hitting 175 over his last 25 games. DJ LeMahieu also hitting 175. These are your contact guys. These are the guys that are supposed to set the table at the top and bottom of the lineup for guys to drive them in. So even though you're getting production from Judge, you're getting production from Soto, it's not amounting to much. Alex Verdugo hitting 238 in his last 25 games, even after a 3-for-4 performance yesterday. Gleyber Torres over his last 50 games hitting 220, and last I checked, he was leading all second basemen in errors. So, it's just been a tough stretch. Giancarlo Stanton's legs have always been a ticking time bomb, and they went boom a couple of weeks ago. And since then the Yankees have been in a rut.
All right, so you brought up one of the pitchers. There's been some struggles with a bunch of the pitchers, but one I'm a little more concerned about than others is Luis Gil. He came out so hot. He's a really good pitcher. I still believe in him. Is it time to kind of digress a little bit with his pitch count or with the innings? Because, he's coming off those injuries. A lot of talk's been, hey, he's tired. What do you think about Luis?
Well, anybody who's watched a lot of baseball, and I'm sure you guys have seen a ton of baseball, will know the signs of fatigue from a pitcher. They'll miss up and arm side, right? Because the arm starts dragging. And that's what we're seeing more from him lately. He's a guy who a lot of times comes directly over the top, so his misses are high or low. And when you start missing arm side, that tells me the arm angle is dropping a little bit. So that's what I'm seeing from Luis Gil. I've been contending that he needs a break as well, whether it's coming out of the rotation and taking a little quote-unquote phantom IL for a couple of weeks, or whether it's, going to the bullpen for a month or whatever. I want him to be a weapon in the playoffs, but right now he's just putting you in a hole pretty much every game. And last time out, he threw 3 pretty good innings before the wheels fell off. So it was like he realized, okay, I got to pace myself. He was throwing more breaking balls early in the count. He was throwing the changeup early in the count. He wasn't gas. But then when the gas was needed, it wasn't there. He wasn't getting swings and misses. The velocity was still there, but it was that little, that little giddy up, that little ride that he was getting early in the season just hasn't been there. So I think he needs a break.
Pitching Ninja is going to watch your evaluation of Luis Gil right now. High arm slot, little ride. D, you are an absolute beast. But we need you because you are the one that's either going to fan the flames or put water on the flames. Which team is this? Which team is this Yankees? Up until Garrett Cole got back, Or is it the Garrett Cole Yankees and it's going to be a continued slide just like 2022 into the playoffs?
I think, like a lot of things in life, the truth is somewhere in the middle. They are not the team that was the juggernaut early on, and they're not this team that falls down 3-4 runs in the first or second inning, seemingly every day for the last couple of weeks. They'll find a middle ground. I think Garrett Cole, as he continues to get into pitching shape. He had a better outing last time. As he becomes that rock in the rotation that takes a little pressure off of an overworked bullpen, it gives you some stability in the staff. He becomes your stopper. So I think he'll add that. And we're starting to get some guys heat up. Verdugo had 3 hits yesterday. You were on the stream with me with the Orioles when he made that great catch in center field and he banged into the center field wall. It was really from there that I felt like he started to kind of struggle. I think he's been playing hurt. And I appreciate that these guys play every day, but you got to know when to back it off a little bit too. So I think they'll come around. I don't think they're the juggernaut we saw early in the year, but I also don't think that they're going to finish in 4th place.
Trade line looming, deadline looming coming up. My big question for you is, do they add a couple more pieces to the bullpen? Do they get another bat? What do you think is next for the Yankees to get them over the top to beat the Orioles in this division?
Well, as Ken Rosenthal always says, the Yankees don't sit out the trade deadline. They're always involved somehow, right? And if they do sit out the trade deadline while they're struggling, Brian Cashman's not going to hear the end of it. So I think that they're going to go out and get some bullpen pieces. I don't think they're going to be players for, Mason Miller or Garrett Crochet. I think they're going to shop more in the, sort of mid-market. I could see him bringing back a David Robertson if the Rangers decide to kind of, switch things up at the deadline and they're not having a great year. If the Blue Jays decide to unload, Chad Green's another guy who's pitched in New York. He's healthy right now. Tanner Scott is somebody I really, really like from the Miami Marlins. Price is going to be a little bit higher on him because everybody wants him. But I think the bullpen is going to be the number one priority. If they need to get a starting pitcher, I could see somebody like Anderson out there with the Angels. In terms of bats, there just doesn't seem to be a lot of guys who strike me as plug and play right now. I mean, maybe Chapman from San Francisco, but I don't know if they would make that move. They've had opportunities to get Chapman in the past and they have not done it. So it might be one of those situations where you shore up the bullpen and you hope that when Giancarlo comes back, maybe when the Martian comes back late in the year, that you get a little bit more, health in the offense and make a run.
All right. I had said before that they're losing because possibly they let off the gas with Garrett Cole, but I saved this doozy for you. Is it time for the Yankee fans to say, man, we really miss Giancarlo Stanton because we need his presence and his biceps in this lineup?
He's dangerous. I mean, look, nobody's going to give Giancarlo any gold gloves out in the outfield or, pinch run him anytime soon. But he makes a difference, especially late in the game when you start to get to that underbelly of the bullpen. He doesn't necessarily hit those elite pitchers with the elite sliders anymore, but he'll hit that next level down and you see him get a lot of big hits because you just work through that gauntlet of, Soto, even Volpe when he was having tough at bats, Volpe, Soto, Judge. And then it's like, okay, I got a couple of guys on base. How do I pitch to Giancarlo? And if you make a mistake, he can still hit the ball 450 feet and just ruin your day. I do miss him. I wish he was back in the lineup, but the Yankees have got to do a better job at preparing for the inevitability that he goes down. I think the plan this year was that Jason Dominguez would come up as their backup plan, probably go into the outfield whenever Giancarlo got hurt, which would allow either Judge or Soto to trade off time at the DH spot, get those guys some midsummer rest. But with the Martian going down with his oblique injury, he's going to be out, possibly till September. So the depth just haven't been there. There's another prospect they had, Everson Pereira, who was up for a little bit last year. He was having a good year in AAA, has to get Tommy John surgery. I do like what they've seen from Ben Rice since he got called up filling in for Rizzo. So I think the Yanks are set at first base for the time being. But yeah, they definitely miss Giancarlo.
Yeah, that was cool. Rice's home run when he was high-fiving in the dugout, and I think they said on the broadcast, it's like a Williamsport smile, which I thought was cool. I mean, you get to that moment and it was cool for Rice. All right. I have a fan question for you and it's probably going to piss you off a little bit. So Mike in the chat said, would the Yankees consider trading I don't even want to say the name because I know it's going to bother you. Dominguez for Cody Bellinger and Jamison Taillon. Maybe some cash too. Cubs need that KB type hype to get Cubs fans excited, and wanted to get your thoughts. And also once you get through that initial point, try and take us through maybe those two players for someone else. Like I have heard Bellinger's name tied through because he's got money. He's got player options, so most teams aren't going to be able to trade for him because the risk of he hurts his shoulder and then he opts in. Like the Yankees can afford that, the Phillies can afford that, other teams can't. So your thoughts on a couple players like that potentially fitting in?
I like Bellinger and I like Taillon. I wouldn't trade the Martian for either of them. The Yankees had an opportunity to trade the Martian or to trade Spencer Jones for Juan Soto this winter, and they didn't do it. So I can't see them, pulling the trigger on either one of those guys for, some veteran, older type of players. Now, Bellinger, I think, would fit in nicely right now with the Yankees. If you had him right now, he could play center, he could DH, he could first base a little bit. But by the time the trade deadline rolls around, Giancarlo is going to be back, and there's going to be that logjam. Where are you going to put Bellinger? Taillon, I've always liked Taillon. I think he did a nice job with the Yankees. I would have no issue going out to get either one of those guys, but I don't think it's going to cost the Yankees a top prospect. But, Bellinger is a good player. I think he would fit well in Yankee Stadium. He's hit over 290 in June. I don't know what he's doing in July. I haven't looked at it the last few days, but, I've always liked him as a player. The peripherals don't tell the story of a guy who, jumps off the page, but I feel like he shortens his swing with 2 strikes, which is something a lot of Yankees don't do or haven't done in recent years. And I think there's some value in that. Verdugo's a guy who does that. And earlier in the year, he was getting a lot of big hits with 2 strikes, in those situations. He's slumping a little bit lately, but that was a big deal to get those, tough outs with men on base, which the Yankees are unfortunately not getting right now.
All right. What is more angering to Yankees fans? The lack of rotation doing what they're doing, or the lazy play yesterday from Grisham and Glaber not running, or quote hustling? What brings more ire to Yankees fans?
Well, to Yankee fans in general, I think they don't like the lack of hustle because it doesn't look good on TV. Glaber Torres has had this issue in the past. Verdugo's had some issues with it this year. Grisham yesterday, it was no excuse for that. You got a packed house. I think there's that old, aphorism that it takes no skill to hustle, right? It takes no talent to run as hard as you can and to play as hard as you can. So I think that fans resonate with that a lot. But I understand being around this podcast and being around you guys that, the heat wears you down. Guys get tired. Every once in a while, somebody takes a play off, and the camera or the baseball always seems to find you when that happens. So, with the pitching, it's been, early in the game, a lot of home runs. They're putting us into holes, and that's frustrating, but it doesn't make me mad. I mean, that's baseball. That's the sport. You've got to execute. But I think when you have control over something like, hustling out a play or, just giving it your all, I think that that's what fans expect.
All right, one more. We're going to do a quickie preview of the next series here. It's going to be fun because the Red Sox are playing some pretty good ball, inspiring baseball. So let's show a fun tweet from Jared Carabas, one of our buddies. So this is the Yanks, a little good morning. That's Verdugo in Boston's dugout with a nice smile. And then he said the Yanks are 4-13 since this tweet, worst record in Major League Baseball. So all kidding aside, thoughts on this upcoming series, and what do you think the plan is with Trevino? Is he going to play multiple games in this series? Because that was crazy on Sunday Night Baseball a couple weeks ago when they stole, 7 bags?
Yeah, well,
9.
Trevino's
9.
Yeah, 9. Yeah, Trevino's an issue behind the plate with a running team. I mean, he's great at framing. He's great at blocking. He's gotten some big hits, but the arm strength is not there right now. The pop time is not great. Austin Wells has been swinging the bat a little bit better. He had a home run yesterday. I could see him getting more reps, but he's probably not going to play every single day. I mean, you've got to use Trevino sometimes. And, you guys would know this as well as anybody. The best way to control the running game is to keep hitters off base. I think if you can get great starting pitching, keep guys off of base with less than 2 outs, don't give them opportunities to steal, get a nice big lead where stealing a base won't matter. Play better baseball as a whole, and it'll take pressure off of Trevino.
I love it, Derek. You're the man. Really, really good intense, in-depth analysis, hopefully maybe a little helpful for the Yankee fans and, maybe a little helpful for the Yankee haters too, because there's still problems that need to be addressed. So appreciate it always what you do, obviously behind the scenes as well. And go check out NYY Recaps.
Hey everybody, we are on a mission for 50,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the season. When we get there, we're going to give away some cool prizes. We're going to give away an official Yankees pinstripe jersey of your choice, 4 tickets to a Yankees game, plus some NYY Recaps merch. It takes 1 click and it's free. So if you watch every video, double check that you are subscribed. If you love the podcast, subscribe. Heck, even if you hate the podcast, hate me, hate the Yankees, hate my cat, who cares? Subscribe anyway so somebody can win these prizes. And we'll see you next time.
Ball game over.